long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Is the glue to all 5 of these films that gave us all of our rhythm and all of our melody, the great maestro, John Williams.
So yesterday, one of Cameron's other subscribers raised a piece of information, and we'll talk about that. But then Sparrow jumped in with a statement to Cameron yesterday. Cameron got a call on the bat phone or the bird phone. We should call it the bird phone. And basically had a lot to say about certain movies at Lucasfilm that were canceled quietly. There's a reason why we haven't heard anything from Obai Chinoy, Stephen Knight, and that Daisy is now gone quiet. And we'll get to that, but there's so much going on, and there's big news about Kathleen Kennedy. This is kind of something, we've heard it before, but because her contract ends in October at the end of Disney's fiscal year, I think we're going to have a good Halloween. Anyway, Disney has killed a few projects amid studio overhaul, says Bob Iger. We've not been that public about it. Well, they haven't, and I don't know why. The fact of the matter is, canceling projects that won't make money is something that Nelson Peltz wants to see them do, right? Restore the magic. Well, what movies did they cancel? Now, we've, speculated yesterday in my video upload yesterday. Taika Waititi movies not going anywhere. The Ryan Johnson fake trilogy was never going to be made, especially when Bob Iger apparently was horrified by the fans' reaction to The Last Jedi. But we all know that if you watch The Last Jedi, you realize it's it is a stunningly made fuck you to George Lucas, the fans, and the characters. It's basically a giant practical joke. It's a troll, okay? And it's resentful as hell when you look at it. And the fans rejected it outright. Iger was horrified by it. It missed the projected mark that it was supposed to get by Disney's standards by $1 billion. Think about that. Okay. And because it was so bad, a lot of people like to blame it for Solo, a Soy Wars story, being the huge sieve of money that it was. But I think that movie was going to fail on its own because awful Aaron Yuck, John Kasdan, Donald Glover. It was just a shitty, everything about it was shitty from the get-go. Okay, so, Iger was right in canceling all anthology series. And in fact, that's where Obi-Wan Kenobi came from, the TV show. And that's where the Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian came from, was the fact that they were supposed to be films and they were turned into Disney Plus projects. And, given over to Jon Favreau to shepherd. And the big issue that happened with these projects is when Favreau brought Luke back, didn't tell Kennedy, because she would fuck with it and fuck with him, and they didn't want her to know. She went all out in vindictive mode. He was apparently in Atlanta, Georgia, doing something for probably Marvel when the Book of Boba Fett was being filmed, and that show wasn't as good as it should have been. Okay, now there were good parts of it. Can't help it if the viewing public are illiterates when it comes to filmmaking or storytelling. But there were good parts to it. But the Skittles gang, the fact that the end was a fiasco, and of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi got battered around because the black pills could. I watched it again for like the 5th time, the complete series. I don't know what they're talking about. Every time you watch it, you see something that makes it that much better. But let's talk about other shows that have been canceled. So Iger talked about movies that were quietly canceled. Guess what? Sparrow basically got the scoop that Iger had told Favreau there is no Rey movie. Lucasfilm is not asking Stephen Knight for a new script. That's done. Charmin Obaid-Chinoy has shut her mouth up about it. Daisy's been quiet about it. And basically when all is said and done, this movie was never going to get off the ground. And I would hope that eventually Disney will announce that this movie's been canceled. The fact that Bob Iger himself did not mention it is a big deal. The weird thing is The Acolyte, but that's a story for another time. But yes, the Rey movie, for all we can tell, is done. It's canceled.
The age of men is over. The time of the orc has come.
That's what I said.
No, stop. Not one more crooked word. Your tongue could open a wine bottle.
I never had an agent. It's not like she worships the devil.
Well, she doesn't have to. He worships her.
We'd be here all night.
Get out!
Urinal cakes? I don't believe this. All these years, the doyenne of Seattle's elite, looking down her nose at everyone in sight. She owes it all to this. She's managed to have her urinal cake and eat it too.
As I think we now have what's known in the legal...
Hello, Marta. Like to speak to Maris. Oh, why not? Ah. She's in the final level of her guru's serenity training, the week-long vow of silence, day 6. No, Marta, that's all right. She doesn't have to come to the phone. Just give her this message. I've flushed out her family secret. Hello, Maris.
So this was the other part of Sparrow's news. Kathleen Kennedy, and it started out where basically Cameron posted a bit of information that was pointed out to him by another one of his subscribers who basically found this article. This is the Austin Film Festival in October is giving Kennedy the Polly Platt Award for producing. So immediately you start thinking, is this the Viking funeral? that's going to, the arrows being sharpened, bonfires being lit, Valkyries gathering to carry Kathleen away from Lucasfilm into, I hope, hell instead of Valhalla, but whatever. It's very interesting to me that this award's being presented. This film festival goes between the 24th of October and the 27th. So it's at the end of Disney's fiscal year. And we've been kind of waiting for some news to break that might indicate something about her where the end is nigh. Matt Bellany won't talk about it. The Rags are being quiet. But now we've got this. Okay, so what does it mean? Usually when the industry's done with you, you get a Lifetime Achievement Award. Now, granted, George Lucas got one, Harrison Ford got one. Harrison Ford's still working. And it's kind of depends on who the recipient is for this and if they've been ultimately successful. And of course, Lucas and Ford are very successful now. Did George retire? Yeah. Is he still available to consult over things going on at Lucasfilm? Yes. Is he talking to Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau? Of course he is. Okay. So, and of course Harrison Ford is filming Shrinking season 2 right now. And he's got movies coming out. So, but with somebody like this person right here, it's very obvious that the industry is done. She's been very quiet, quietly selling her house. It's about to be closed on. It's gone from contingent to pending, which means basically paperwork is being done and everything is being gone over with a fine-tooth comb. And then the seller and the buyer get together with their lawyers, agents, checks are signed, and titles are handed over, etc. And then the house is sold. That's what happens at the end, at closing. So it's pending now. Okay, and I thought maybe we'd hear something when it closed, and maybe we still will. And a Sparrow story, which I believe is always contingent on what's going on out there. Kennedy has not been heard from. When Carl Weathers died, it was Jon Favreau who spoke on behalf of Lucasfilm. It was not Kathleen Kennedy, which is kind of like, okay, all right. So what does this mean? Well, she's getting a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Austin Film Festival, which is a rather important one in the industry. We've been watching, she's gotten 3. Okay. She got the Irving Thalberg Lifetime Achievement Award at the Oscars 2 years ago, I think with her husband. I think they shared it. And then she was given an Achievement Award when they were beginning to film Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny by an Irish film festival, Dublin Film Festival, Cork, I can't remember which one, but it was one of them. So this is the 3rd one. Her contract is up in October, on October 31st. It looks to me that Iger and Disney did not choose to renew it, obviously because Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was such a fucking failure and an embarrassment, I think, for everybody involved. And of course, indications were last summer when she was suspended from their email for a while. Steven Spielberg basically canceling her in front of the entire Hollywood cadre at the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny premiere on the stage with Harrison Ford, John Williams, and George Lucas standing there. Okay, you saw the video again because I put it up. And then the continuous vacations, whether they were in Europe or Mexico or wherever, she and Frank were never around. And what I look for now, and this is just me, all right, because Bob Iger's got a lot to contend with right now with Nelson Peltz, okay? And, you know, he insists he's not been, basically he's not been gone on a detour from leaving Disney, but the fact of the matter is, he's worried about announcing things like her departure in October, which I think is stupid. I think it's a perfectly legitimate thing to say concerning Lucasfilm. I regret to say that Kathleen Kennedy has been on a leave of absence for a while now, and due to family issues and searching for another creative avenue for herself, she's leaving at the end of October when her contract runs out. Everybody knows she got the boot, all right? And this is the official thing, but it looks nice. And morons out there will believe the official line, okay, which is what you want, okay? Now, the canceling of the Ray movie is also indicative of Kennedy not having any power anymore and having any real control over what goes on at Lucasfilm, which is fine, okay? Which is fine. Now we've got the Austin Film Festival giving her a Producer's Award, a Lifetime Achievement Award. And she gets an AFI award, fine, and then or Producers Guild Lifetime Achievement Award. Again, that would be another indication. So while we don't have official word yet, it looks to me that it'll be coming. I think that they're stupid to not be so transparent about it. The Ray movie is canceled. It's not happening. And we'll probably be looking at Kennedy's exit around October 31st, and probably with an announcement in the month or two before it actually happens. Okay, so keep those bottles of champagne chilled yet. Okay, this is just the beginning. This is Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.